Hi, I'm Laura Bartow from Studio One Stampers, and I want to welcome you to this wonderful, fun class of do-it-yourself greeting cards. We've got 4 different cards to put together today, and 2 of them will be perfect for your Valentine giving, and then another one is a thank you card, and another one is just a friendly hello card. So we are ready to just make these fun cards. They are all fun folds. Now, a fun fold is just something that opens in a different way. We've got a Z fold, we've got gatefolds, and we've got an arrow fold. So hopefully that's one that you're really gonna think is fun and new to you. Now, while you're getting ready for this class, I hope you'll gather a few products. One thing you might need is a pair of scissors. You also need some sort of a black marker or pen. A bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, you want to use something that's smooth, like a spoon or something that can give you good creases on your folds. You need a good quality liquid glue that's easy to apply. And I recommend too getting a toothpick and a little scrap of paper that you can put your glue onto for some of the delicate gluing that we have for this class. So, well, let's get started and putting together these absolutely adorable fun cards. Well, hopefully you've gathered your supplies. You need a good quality liquid glue, a bone folder or a spoon or something smooth that you can use to crease for our folding, a pair of scissors, and a black marker or a pen, as well as a little piece of scrap paper and a toothpick. And we'll be working with all of those throughout our class today. So I want you to grab your supplies and grab the supplies in your envelope that look like this. It's got sort of a pink color, and we've got this beautifully embossed die cut piece here, and it says love on it. So see if you can locate those pieces. I'm going to lay them out for you so you can see what's in your folder. It's good to just do one card at a time. So if you don't have the pieces separated, just leave them in the envelope for now, and we'll just do them one at a time. So these are the things that you should have. There should be a little piece of ribbon, this beautiful die cut heart, a little oval, a square of designer paper, a little piece of this, and then the little love die cut. So those are the pieces that you should have for your card. So let's start by getting our card folded. That's going to be the most important. This is a fun fold, and my piece is already folded, but I'm going to fold it with you. Now when you do what's called a gatefold, and a gatefold means that the card's going to be coming together. What I like to do is I like to kind of do a soft fold and match up those 2 pieces right there and make sure that they're nice and straight. Now once they are nice and straight, you want to grab your bone folder and give that a good crease along either side. So we need to just give it a good crease back and forth, and you're using really kind of the rounded part. Some people like to use that edge, but I really like to use the rounded part because it doesn't leave any sign that it was there. All right, so you've got this card folded, and it's going to go like this. And so the next thing I want to do is go ahead and get the 2 pieces glued that are going to go into these 2 sections. And that's going to be our designer series paper that goes over. Isn't it just beautiful? And this little piece that's embossed here, and that's going to be centered. And so you're going to make certain that there's an even area all around this piece and an even area around that piece. So what I like to do is I like to just get my paper flipped upside down, and then it's really important to use a small amount of glue. I'm just going to put little dots of glue, and can you see that I'm putting my dots of glue away from the corners? Because what's going to happen is my dots of glue are going to spread, and that way they won't spread out past the edge of the paper and make things all sticky. So go ahead and put that piece on. So that's just going to go right up here, and you can see that I've got it even top and sides, and just push it down and just let it sit there, and that should be just fine for that. So then let's go and do our little piece that's embossed here. And I'm going to add maybe a tiny bit more glue to this piece just because it's got some texture to it. And when it's got texture, there's fewer areas that are going to make contact with the paper. So we'll go ahead and put that on this lower section. And you can see that we've got that same area around the top and the side, so it's evenly spaced into that area. And you can see we've got a nice fold going there as well. So there we are. We're coming right along with that card. So we've got the two pieces already glued down, and we're really making great time on that. Now the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to kind of work on this beautiful die cut, and I'll show you in a little while how that was made, but for right now let's just work on getting that one glued in place. So I want to flip it over, and this is where you might want to grab your paper and a toothpick. So I'm going to just put a little bead of glue onto my scrap paper and my toothpick. And I'm just going to make certain that I put the glue on the tips of lots of these little tiny pieces. And that's giving me just a little tiny dot on the edges. So I'm just working my way around all the edges, just teeny tiny dots. If you're getting anything bigger, almost, if you can see it, then it's plenty. That's all you need. So all around the edges. And then I'm going to kind of start on some of the bigger areas and add some into that. So that's going to really hold this piece in place well. So kind of see if you can work fairly quickly. You don't want your glue to dry in the time that you're taking to do this. So just make sure you've got things right on those tips, and there we go. So when you feel like you're ready, take that, and you want to really position this carefully. You don't want to put it down and try to move it around. So hold it up and just look at the heart and look at the center line here of the heart. Make certain that center line is lined up, that you're not off the edge of your card, and when you like where it is, just push it down and just push in all those places where you know there was glue. And that's going to hold your piece down absolutely beautifully. Isn't that just gorgeous? I just absolutely love this die cut. So there we go. Isn't that so pretty? I love all the detail here. We've got roses, and then of course I love how it's just framing out the little heart shape there. So it's almost a negative of that. So there we are. All right, now we're going to go to our next piece, and that is this little oval. And so we've got the oval, and you've got the word love, and we're going to do the same thing that we did to do the heart. We're just going to take little tiny bits of glue and put them all around. Little teeny tiny bits, almost so small that you can barely see them. And if you get anything that's kind of built up, just smooth it so it's just a very, very light coat. And then again, make sure that you really like where it is, because you don't want to scoot it around. When you really like where it is, push down in one spot and then push the rest down very, very gently. Isn't that just gorgeous? So we've got the word love, so we've got the darker pink on that lighter pink oval. And then let's go ahead and add our ribbon in place. And you may want to trim your ribbon. It may be a little longer than you want or whatever. So kind of position it, maybe a third of the way up onto your heart. Now we're going to use glue to put this piece of ribbon on, but we need to be very careful and only put the glue where it's not going to show, because it will stain the ribbon. So I'm kind of looking at this, laying this out, and I'm seeing that this middle section, maybe about an inch or so, is where I'll be able to put my glue, because it'll be covered up by this oval. So I'm going to put my finger right here at the edge of that oval where that was, kind of flip that over, and know that I'm just going to put a little bead of glue, about an inch right in there. So I've got about the same amount, not glued on this side and not glued on that side. And I'm going to go ahead and just place that ribbon down onto my card. And you can see that it's kind of starting to come through my ribbon a little bit, and it will leave that stain on there, but it's not a worry because I know that I'm going to be covering it up with this cute little tag. So then the next thing to do, once you get that ribbon in place, is to put a little bit of glue right along the center of this tag and put that down right over top of your ribbon, kind of centering that. And just hold it for a moment. It's just going to take a little while for the glue to hold up and to get all set. So I think that looks really good. All right, there's just one more thing to do for this card, and then I'll back up a little bit and show you how I made some of these parts. The next thing to do is to put your white piece inside. Now you may want to stamp it or write a message on it first before you put it in, or you could go ahead and put it in right now. I'm going to put it in right now just because I want to make sure you know how to do that. So I just put some little dots of glue around the edges, and I'm going to open this up. And it's going to fit just in the center section, and there's going to be a little space about 1/8 of an inch around each side, the top and the bottom. I'm just going to push that down, and there my piece is all ready to have a message or have something stamped on it. So there's our card, their beautiful offset gatefold. Well, let me show you how I did the die cutting for this piece and a little bit of the embossing for that piece. I'll just show you some of the things that I used. And you can just keep working on your project. I'm going to stick my glue piece out of the way just because, oh gosh, I know that that's going to end up on some project if I don't put it out of the way. Well, let me show you what these dies look like. This is a beautiful collection of dies. They all come in one set, and they're called the Floral Heart dies. There is an amazing collection of things that go along with what I call here this focal piece. This is what I went ahead and die cut for you to make that piece. This set of dies also has a stamp set that it goes with, and you can see that some of these shapes, like for instance this fits right inside there, so the stamped image gets actually die cut and could be stamped there, and some of the other images actually cut out some of the shapes, whoops, there we go, some of the shapes from some of the stamps and things like that. So just a wonderful, beautiful set. It's great because it has anniversary, it has Valentine's Day, wedding, happy ever after, and just sort of a friendship kind of thinking of you. So it's a very useful, caring stamp set and matching dies. I want to show you another project that I made. I do a lot of home decor pieces, and this is one that I made featuring that particular die, and you can see here I've done that in a navy color, and here's some of the other little heart pieces, and later we'll see this little daisy piece that is part of one of our other cards. So you can see how the dies can make lots more things than just cards, and you can kind of see how this is shiny. I've taken the glass out of this just so the camera wouldn't catch the light and you wouldn't be able to see it. So it would normally have glass on here, but I just wanted you to see that. Well, let me show you a little bit about how I go about making some of these dies in my die cut machine. So I'm going to come over here to my cut and emboss machine. I'll just scoot it in a little closer here. And my cut and emboss machine has different layers to it. It's got some different levels to the machine, and there's a level 1, a level 2, and then I need to put down my level 3. And my level 3, you can see, has had lots of cutting on it already, so it's all cut up, and that's just fine. It's going to work perfectly well for a long, long time. Then I'll put my paper on there, and then I'm going to take the die and I'm going to put the cut side down. So I'm going to put the cut side down and center that on my paper, and then put another piece on top. So I've kind of created a little sandwich with these pieces, and then I just turn the crank and send it through the die cut machine. And so I just hold on to it, and go back, and I like to come back as well just to give it one more sense of being really pushed in there. And here we'll take this out, and you can see the die is here. This heart comes out of the center, and then these pieces come off the edge, so that's there. And then there's all these little pieces that you can see are die cut. And so what I'm going to bring in is I'm going to bring in my take a pick tool with my brush end on it. And so I like to just use that, and that helps me push out the majority of these cute little pieces so that this goes relatively fast. And you can see lots of those pieces have come out. And then I have a nice pointy end here that I can push out any pieces that are still kind of stuck in the die or into the piece. And it also helps me if I need to release it from the die. But you can see it just kind of pops right out. And then there's a couple little pieces here that need to be pushed out and we're still into the paper, and you might have some of those on yours as well, but you can just see how beautiful this piece is and how lovely it is. So that's the one piece that I used for there, and then the other piece down here is an embossing piece, and I used an embossing folder, and this is a Meadow Moments, I think, embossing folder. So it opens up and you can see there's a positive and a negative. So you just stick your paper inside, and for this one it doesn't matter whether it's straight or not because it's just a kind of an overall pattern. And I'll close that up and I'll clean off the things that are on my my machine because I want to make sure everything's clean for that. And I'm going to put this folder in so that my hinge will be in there first. But I need to take off this level 2. This level 2 is going to make things too thick. So I'm just going to put this plate on and then put the clear plate on top and send that through my machine. And I just need to do this once. I don't have to do any more than that because it's going to just give me a beautiful impression right out of this. So here's all my pieces, and I can take the folder out, and here we are with our beautifully embossed little piece. Isn't that just so cute? And that's what you have in your hand. So there's lots of embossing folders and lots of choices to make all kinds of patterns. And the lovely thing about this is that you can choose your own paper, and the combinations are just infinite between different embossing folders and different papers. So anyway, so that's the fun part of what I've done to get this ready for you. I'm going to hold the card here for just a minute so we can just focus on it. And let's just stop there and wait for some questions or have you catch up a little bit. Well, I think this is just a delightful thank you card. It's called an arrow fold, and you can see why. It's got that arrow shape, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So we've just folded the front of the card to cut it into fold it into that shape, and we'll be doing that in just a minute. But for right now, let's go ahead and get our daisy and our word thanks glued together. So you should have two things that say thanks, and the white one of course is going to go on top, and then we're going to layer our daisy as well. So make sure you have all those pieces out, and we'll just start kind of gluing some things together. So the simple thing for our daisy is we're just going to put a dot of glue in the center right there. And not a big dot, doesn't have to be a large dot, just a dot in the center. And go ahead and place your daisy and put that kind of offset so you have those different layers showing, so it looks three-dimensional. And I just love that look. It's one punch. It's called the daisy punch, and it's just one punch that punches these flowers right out. It is so, so simple. Now what I also want you to do is to find your little gem. So in your packet there should be a little tiny gem on a little teeny tiny piece of clear acetate. And so go ahead and find that little gem, and that little gem is going to go right in the center of your flower. And you can see I've used my scissors to kind of help me, and so it's just going to look like that. So we've got our daisy all put together. So yeah, found your little gem and put that on. They're different colors, so they all look great as the center of the flower. The next thing we want to do is to find your two thanks, and this is where you're going to want to use your toothpick technique again. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue on my scrap paper. And you can see I don't need a lot. And I'm going to hold this up. I like to hold it up in the air because I know that I'm not getting any glue onto my surface, but you may be more comfortable laying it down and just being able to do it that way. So whatever's comfortable for you. It doesn't matter. This is just a technique for getting the glue onto all these little pieces. And I'm trying to get them on the top and the bottom of each little bump and the tips of these little things. And I do want to work fairly quickly because by the time you get to one end, you don't want one end all dried out. So I feel like that this is doing well for me. And I'm going to go ahead and line this up. And again, I want to really make sure it's exactly where I want it to be. So I'm going to kind of really line it up and kind of start putting it down one side at a time. So I think the S looks good there. I'm going to push that down, and I'm going to work down to there. That looks good for the A. Yep, and the K looks good. And then I think I need to nudge this one a little bit before I put that down, because sometimes there we go. There, that's just what I want that to look like. So I'm going to just set those aside, and you can keep gluing them together. I want to show you how I did the scoring for the base of the card, and then we'll go ahead and get our scoring done. And I'm going to set all that aside. So this is the piece that you have, but you have score lines on it already. And I'm going to show you how I put those score lines on here. The first thing that was important for me to do is to score in the middle, and that's at 4 1/4. So I'm going to put my marker there so I don't make a mistake. And I'm just going to score right down the center there like that. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to put a little marker that's going to be halfway between 4 1/4 and the 1, and I happen to know that that is exactly at 2 1/8. So I'm going to put a little tiny nick on my cardstock there, and then I'm going to flip it over and put that same nick at that same spot right there. Just a little tiny marker for me. And then the next thing I need to do is I need to mark the center in this direction, and this one is 5 1/2, and I know that half of 5 1/2 is 2 3/4, so I'm going to put a little tiny nick right there. So I've got a nick on each of the 4 sides. So I'm going to turn my cardstock around, and I'm going to come over to this line that's here, and I'm going to put the score line that's edge there and the little nick that's at the middle there, and I'm just going to do a score line right there. And then the next score line I want to do is from here to my point. So I'm just going to pivot this over and do that score line in that direction. And then I'm just going to kind of leave this here, and I'm going to pivot this around so I'm back to the other score line from where I scored across the center. And I'm going to score, so let me get that in there right from here down to that point. I'm going to hold that in place, just pivot this a little bit till I get to that next little score line, and score right along there to my point. So there we go. So that's what your piece should look like now. It should look like you have an arrow pointing down, and you should have the 2 sections on the side and the center part. So let's go ahead and do the scoring together. So grab your bone folder, and let's go ahead and start scoring. The first thing I want to do is to talk about how the indentation, the part that's bumped down, that is actually going to be the outside of the card because we've broken the fibers in the card along there, which means it's going to be easy to bend, and the fibers are actually stronger on the other side. So we're going to fold this, matching up our edges, and just give it a nice fold across there. And so now we have this piece looking that way. We'll open this up, and we're going to fold on the large piece, on the large line first. It's going all the way up there. And we're going to fold that in just like that and score on there. And then on the one that's the other way, we're going to fold the opposite way. So that's going to go this way. And do watch that you have a nice score line going down right to your point, because the paper sometimes gets a little stiff there. And then go ahead and use your bone folder to do that. So it's kind of an accordion style. We're going to do that again on the other side. So we'll fold this in, and I'll just move this out of the way and give a nice score on that line. So we're folding that in. This is the inside of our card all the way to the tip. And then fold this piece, and do watch. Make sure you're right here at the tip, and go ahead and fold that back this way. So there we are. So we've got two folds. So I'm going to open this up and just talk about it one more time. So we have two folds that we're going to do. In the first one, we're going to fold in this way and score. And then on the second fold line, we're going to fold it back in the opposite direction and score that. And do that again on the other side. So we'll score and right along there and then back here. So this is what it should look like on the inside. And then when we close the card up, we should have that nice point right down here at the front. So there we go. That's what we have for an arrow fold. Now it's time to glue those pieces down. And it's really important that we only glue in the correct areas. So let's go back and open the card up and do the gluing to get those pieces down. So we want to glue these two large pieces down. So we can put glue anywhere along these pieces to hold those in place. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll put our glue a little tiny bit down there, anywhere along this piece. So I'm just going along the edges, right down there. So you can see that we've got the glue on those two sections. That's the section right next to the center triangle. And we'll go ahead and push those down and put those in place. And you want to really push down and make sure that those stay nice and well glued. So you might want to just hold that just for a moment. Really kind of push on that. Make sure that the glue's happy in there. There we go. So there we go. Now the next section, we need to be a little bit more careful where we put the glue because we only want the glue here. We don't want any glue on the corners here because it would show. So you can see how it would show there. So when we put the glue on, we just want to put, I like to put my finger right here and tell myself I'm only putting glue up above where my finger is. So I'm going to put my finger there and just in this triangle. And this time I'm gluing right on the piece that has the glue on the other side. So I've got the glue there, and I'm going to push this down, and I really want to squeeze that and make sure that that stays in nice and tight. And hopefully I don't have excess glue coming out on the other side. That's really important. Okay, so that's one side. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to put my finger here to remind myself that I'm only gluing between here and the tip. So I'm going to keep my finger right there and put my glue here to the tip like that. So that looks good, and then we'll go ahead and glue it there. So this is our arrow fold, and this is what it looks like on the inside. And that should be a good strong hold for us. Let's see how it looks on the other side. Ah, that looks fantastic. I just love the look of this. Well, let's go ahead and put our white piece inside so we can get a better sense of this arrow shape. So here's our white piece of cardstock. We want to just go ahead and put that on a couple of dots of glue on the inside. And this is where you're going to write your message or stamp your greeting or whatever you want to do when you're ready to send the card. Okay, I think the white piece in there really helps us show off this beautiful arrow shape. All right, so now you need to grab that piece of designer series paper. Hopefully you have all of these things ready. Now this is not an even triangle. It's or not an equilateral triangle, that's the correct term. It's an isosceles triangle, which means that two sides are the same and one is not. I think there's a song about that, but we'll skip that for now. So where you kind of see the dots have been cut straight across, that should be the top edge of your card. But go ahead and measure that up and make sure that that's the right side and the right shape before you start gluing it. So mine looks like it fits really well there. And I'm going to go ahead and glue on that side. Now, the other thing about this paper is gorgeous on both sides. So you're probably going to actually need to decide if you like this side better or you like this side better. Now, I'm going to go ahead and make my sample the same way that the sample is, just for consistency, but you may just absolutely love this iridescent, beautiful paper on the other side and want to use that. So you get to decide, and just make sure that you flip this over so you know which way it goes onto your project. And again, if it's it's got the straight little lines above there. So I'll just go ahead and put this piece on. And that fits pretty closely on there in that little triangle shape. So there we have that. Now it's a time to just put on our last two elements. Our word thanks is going to go across here, and our little flower is going to go there. And I like to kind of lay them out before I start gluing. I'm going to go ahead and put my thanks on. And I don't know if you can tell, but I've really made this so that it kind of hangs over this arrow area a little bit. And so we're really only going to glue it in the center. Over here is actually not going to be glued to anything or over there. So I'm going to look really carefully and tell myself that I'm only going to put the glue from the H to the K on this piece. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to flip this over and go from the H to the K and not past that. And then I'm ready to lay this down. You kind of want to see if you can get your words fairly straight on there. I think that looks really good. Got that thanks on, and so I've got it even, I think, between the little spaces there. And then go ahead and put a little bit of glue on the back of your daisy, and you can put some in the center or whatever, and you can fluff your petals if you want to a little bit, and then just go ahead and put that right in the center there. And there's our little card. Isn't that just so adorable? Well, I want to show you where the dies came from to make this cute little thanks card. So you've already seen me use the die cut machine. And so here's another collection of dies. And you can see this is where the two layers of the thanks came from. And these other words that are in here are you are amazing. And this is what they look like. They come in two sections, like this, and then you just layer them on top of each other the same way we just layered the word thanks. But you are amazing. And so isn't that so sweet? It's so useful, and so I think it's such a dramatic look for a card. So let's stop right here and let me hold this card up for you so you can just kind of maybe catch up if you need to get any more gluing done. Remember just to glue between the layers here. No glue on the S and no glue on the T for that. So let's just hold on to this and take a pause here for questions. Well, here we are. I need you to grab the pieces that you have for this blue card. This is a Z-fold card. It's one of my favorite cards because I just think the look of it is so exciting, and I love the way it just stands up. So it just stands up and it's just such a cute presentation. So anyway, make sure you have all of the pieces out. Let me show you what the pieces look like that you should have for this card. We've got our card base, and it's got 2 score lines on it. Some designer series paper with cute snowflakes, the pieces for our penguin, and our words here. So that's what you should have, as well as a little white strip that's going to go on our card. So let's start actually by folding our card first. This is going to be a Z-fold. So the first thing we want to do is remember that the part that's the indentation, that's the outside of your card. So you want to fold that over and make certain that you have a nice fold there. And then the other fold is going to fold back. And so it's just going to fold back like that. So there, get a nice fold on that. So that's what you should have. You should have this, this Z-fold. So that should look like that as your card. And so it's ready to go. It's actually going to go this way so that it opens that way. So let's just set that aside for now and create our penguin. So let's start with the blue sky piece, and we'll put together our basic piece with our designer series paper. So we'll put a few dots of glue on there, and this is going to go about 1/8 of an inch from the top and 1/8 of an inch on the side. So it should be even on either sides there. So it goes in there like that. Then the next piece that we want to put down is our little piece of black here. So we'll just, I'm going to take my little, I think maybe we should actually put the words on there first. I think that would be a better way to go. So here's your words: I heart you, or I love you, depending on how you want to see that. So it's important that you lay out your little letters by themselves so that they're all where you want them to go. So I like to kind of make sure everybody's right where they're supposed to be, and just pick them up one at a time and put them back down. So this is another great place for you to grab your toothpick and a little bit of glue. So hopefully you have your I heart you all ready to go. And so we'll just go ahead and grab a little bit of glue, and let's start with the I. And I'm going to have that pretty close to the edge here. Put that on, and it's going to be pretty well even top to bottom. And you could do this a little bit more casually, like if you wanted it to kind of be a little more fun or up and down, you certainly could do that as well. I tend to be a pretty straight across, even thinking person, so I kind of like mine all lined up. So I'm going to go ahead then, I'm going to actually start then and put the U on the other end. This way I know how much room I have for my letters as I'm going. So I'm going to put that U, and I'm going to put that the same distance from the edge and the same distance from the top and bottom, hopefully, as my my letter I. So there, now I've got those two down. Now I'm coming on, now I'll put my O on next, and that's going to be snuggled up right next to this U, and kind of even at the bottom if I can. Yep, that looks good. Now it's time for the Y. So I'm going to grab that. And just put that down. Oh yeah, that's just what I want that to look like. And now let's just put the heart down. And this heart can have a little bit of attitude, or it can be straight, however you like it. I'm just going to put mine at a little bit of an angle because I can. And I think that's just so cute. Well, there we go. I heart you. So that's really fun. So now let's go ahead and add that on to our background piece. So we'll put a few dots of glue behind here. And that's just going to go right on there, matching up and having about that same distance at the bottom as we have at the top. All right, so it's really coming along well. Hopefully you've got your letters together, you've got your heart on there. The next thing to do would be to put this white strip on, and that's just going to go right above this black, above this intersection. So we'll put a couple of little pieces of, or a few little dots of glue, I should say, right there. So that's just going to kind of cover up that intersection. And this is the little bit of snow that our little guy is sitting on. So let me show you how to put together our little penguin. We've got a couple of these pieces. We've got 2 feet and a nose, and you're going to need to grab your black marker so that we can put the eyes on. So these all have been punched from the little penguin punch, and so we'll go ahead and put these a few little dots of glue on this white one. And this goes on so that it's really close to the bottom. Just a little tiny bit, and then there's a lot more space at the top. Let me get the extra glue out of there. There we go. And so there's how our little penguin, those 2 pieces go together. And now we'll go ahead and add in our beak and our 2 feet. I find that it's a little easier for me to just get my little toothpick here, put a little bit on this 1 foot, and those are going to go kind of right a little tiny bit below the bottom of the character, because they're kind of coming up from the bottom there, and they can be straight or kind of turned out. I think the more they're sort of a little different or turned out, the more whimsical they look. And so then we'll do the same thing with this little heart, and that's going to go as our beak, and that's going to go just a little center, just a little bit beneath that little, I don't know, a little indentation there. And now it's time to give our little penguin some eyes. So you want to grab your marker, and you're aiming for your eyes to be, this is sort of a circle here, the circle area. So you're aiming for your eye to be sort of in the center of that little circle area there, and this little circle area right here. So just 2 little dots make your little penguin. And so we'll go ahead and take that little penguin. So you've got your feet down here, and you got your nose up there, and we're just going to glue that little penguin onto this little patch of snow that the penguin is seated on. And so we'll just put that right there. So there we go. Isn't that just adorable? Well, I think that's so cute. While you're catching up doing that, let me just show you a little bit about the penguin punch. This is actually a builder punch, and you can see there's the body of the penguin, and there's the white part of the penguin, and here are the feet. And so when you use a builder punch, you can see there's sort of different compartments. And what I like to do is I like to make certain that I have smaller pieces that I can kind of stick in from the top here, and then I can just punch just that section. Now I am going to get a foot out of here too, but that's just extra. And so you can see I've got that piece, so that's what was left over. So I did get an extra foot, which I don't need. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the inside part. Now this is the white part of the penguin, and I'll do that. And you can see I got a foot there as well, which I don't need. And these 2 layer like that. And then the wonderful thing about these builder punches is they give you all these different choices. And so now I can put this piece in, and I can punch it and get out my little feet, and I can just punch it again and get out another little foot. So that's how the builder punch works. The heart came from a different punch, but you could certainly draw the beak on yourself with a marker or something. So you see how cute this is with this cute little feet, and I just think the penguin is just so adorable. All right, well, let's go ahead and finish up our card. Hopefully you have this all glued together like this. We're going to put our white piece on the inside, and that's going to help us really kind of look at where the rest of this goes. So just little bits of glue on there. You might want to write this out before you put it in or not. It's up to you. And that goes on the inside. Now our penguin is just going to be attached to this section. So it's going to be centered top to bottom on the section there. So the glue is only going to go in between here. So I'm going to kind of put my fingers at where it can't be. So I know that it's going to be there and there. And that's going to be, so it's right inside where my fingers are. And then this gets glued down. So it's about the same distance on the two sides and the top and the bottom. And hopefully if there's not too much glue, this will just stick to that piece and just pop right up. So there we go. There is our absolutely adorable little penguin. So let's hold this sample and stop for questions, and so you can kind of look and see and maybe catch up if you need to do a little bit more gluing to get this put together. Well, this cute little ladybug is just flying in to say hi, and so I think that's just such a fun card. It's an offset gatefold card that we're going to create for this cute little card. Well, let's get started. So make sure you get the last pieces you have in your kit. It's the berry card. That should be all that you have left. And let's start by getting our card folded. So this is going to be a gatefold, and we've talked about that before. So what we want to do is we want to do kind of a soft fold so these match in the center. And when they match and they're nice and flat, then go ahead and give a nice fold, nice crease with your bone folder. So there we go. So we've got that nicely creased there. And let's go ahead and put the pieces onto the front part here that we're ready to go. So the smaller side is going to be off to the right and the larger section to your left. And so we've got this cute little checked paper and a piece of black paper. So let's flip those over. And you've got these beautiful butterflies on the other side. It was so hard to decide which side of this paper to use because they're both just gorgeous. So we'll go ahead and get glue on both of those pieces. So here we are, ready to glue on the left side. So here we are. And we'll put this piece on the right side. Again, even top and bottom and sides. So we've got those two pieces ready to go. So there's our basic card with our pieces. And then, of course, our white card piece will go on the inside. And I think we could go ahead and put that in right now. And you could, of course, wait and write on it and stamp on it or whatever you want to do before you put it in. But that's okay. Either way, either now or later is just fine. Okay. So that's our basic card shape. We've got the gatefold, our designer series paper there, our piece of black cardstock, and we've even got the large piece of white on the inside. Well, that's easy and ready to go. Well, let's go ahead and create our little ladybug scene here. We've got our little ladybug and her wings and her little leaf that she's flying into. So let's go ahead and glue the ladybug wings onto the body. Now you can see there's no glue on the outside of the wings because that's not going to attach to the body. So we just want to put the glue on the inside area here, right there and there, and that'll be perfect to hold this on. And it's going to go on so that there's sort of this curve. You can kind of see right where the what you might call a neck is going to go, and that curve is going to just be together right there. Isn't that just so cute? Now this ladybug comes from our Ladybug Builder Punch. It's so cute. It's got the cute little body and then the wings, and there's also a matching stamp set that goes with all this too, to give you some polka dots and different things on your ladybugs. So that's really fun. Let's go ahead now and get our our leaf put on. And our leaf is actually a heart, and you can see that it was punched out of this heart punch. The heart punches come in a set of two. One is scalloped and one is plain that nests inside of it. And I also went ahead and used this ornate garden embossing folder to give some texture to that, and you can see how that really looks much more interesting than it would if it were a flat piece. So let's get this piece glued on and kind of position it. We're going to kind of ignore this leaf part here, or this point of the heart, and we're going to pretend that this is the tip of our leaf, the point of our heart, and position that so it's going to be coming off the edge of the white piece just a tiny bit, not much, but I love it when it comes off the edge. It really says, I'm a separate piece, I'm special, and I've been created, not just printed. And then we'll put the ladybug, and the ladybug is kind of going to go over top of that heart area, and she's going to hang off a little bit off to the side here as well. So there we are. We've got kind of our leaf and our ladybug positioned there. The next thing we need to do is put our word hi on, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about this word hi. It's the same dies that were used back on the card here where I used the I and the U. This is the playful alphabet. So these are dies that go through the cut emboss machine, and you can see you've got all of these numbers and letters and everything to create individual names or themes, team names, family names, anything that you want to write, a special birthday or a number. These are fantastic dies that fit on cards. They're just the right size to fit on cards, and personalize them. So for this card, we're just going to write the word hi, and I'm going to put the I on first because I'll position that right along this beautiful scallop. And this was die cut with the scallop contour dies. So it has this stitching line on the edge. This card has just a lot of interest and detail. I think it's a very happy little card. And we'll put the hi down there. So now I've got the two letters down there. I think they look great. And I've got my ladybug. So hopefully you've got your leaf down and your ladybug down, and you're working on getting your little letters in place. So once you get your letters in place, you need to attach them just to the card. Now it's very important that they only attach to the left side of the card. So I'm going to do that trick again where I kind of put my fingers here and show, actually I think I'm going to put my fingers here and show that I can't have any glue going on this side. So I'm going to put my finger here and remind myself that the glue only goes on the ladybug side of my piece. So I'm going to put glue here, here, like that. So no glue is going to go behind this portion where the leaf is, otherwise the card won't open. So now I can take this and position that on there, and I know that I've got my glue positions just where I need that. Good. So I didn't have any glue over here at all, and so my card isn't going to get glued shut. And so here it is, my beautiful little gatefold card. So hopefully you've got your glue just on this little scallop piece to go there, and you've got this gorgeous little hi gatefold card. Well, let's just hold it right there for a moment so you can kind of catch up and do your little pieces that you need to on that card. Just remembering only to glue it to the one side, no glue pieces go onto the black side here. And hopefully you've really enjoyed this class. I've had so much fun creating these cards for you, knowing that you're going to enjoy sending them, you're going to enjoy creating them and making life better for someone. So I hope you have a lot of fun and will join me again, either through the library or at my classes at my home. Take care now.